Hello and welcome to the All Out Football podcast. Previously, we talked about each team as we previewed the Premier League season, and today we're going to be discussing all the transfers after the deadline has just finished. I'm joined by four of the All Out Football team. If you'd like to introduce yourself, boys.
Hi, I'm Danny. I'm a Burnley fan, as you know.
Hi, I'm Luke. I'm a Tottenham fan.
Hi, I'm Dan and I'm a Sporting Lisbon fan.
Hi guys, I'm Luke and I'm a Hartlepool United fan.
Okay, so we're going to get straight into the action and discuss each team. So we'll start with Arsenal. How do we think they got on? They brought in two players in Lacazette and Kolasinac. What do you think to their window?
Abysmal.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that, Marsh?
Because they...
Personally, I wouldn't say they have had an abysmal window, because if you look at previous years, like the year Leicester won the league, they're lacking a real goal scorer, and to be honest, they've been crying out for someone of Lacazette's calibre up front. I mean, Olivier Giroud's he's only so good. I mean, he's not the type of person that will win your league, but I think with Arsenal, the reason that I don't think they've had a successful window is because they've had more than one problem across the pitch and they've only addressed one. But the signing of Lacazette isn't going to shoot them from Europa League to Premier League glory, in my opinion.
I think that the fact that they left it so late as well kind of made it very underwhelming. You know, they tried to do the business on the final day and it was a bit of a letdown for the Arsenal fans, really.
I think the fact they managed to keep hold of Sanchez and Ozil is the two best players is a good sign. Kolasinac was one of the best fullbacks in the Bundesliga in recent years, and they've just picked them up on a free, and they scored. And Lacazette has always scored goals, and it will give Arsenal an extra edge. But I don't think the actual transfer window was that bad in theory. I just think the results is what getting the fans on the back of Arsene Wenger.
What do we make to Sanchez staying at the club? Do you think that's actually a good move from the club? Because obviously he could leave in a year for free.
I think that's their most important business. I think keeping hold of him. There was no contest really. I think if he'd gone, I don't know. He's such a good player, isn't he? So
I think the thing is, sorry to interrupt, Dan, but with the Premier League money now, realistically, Sanchez, you get 50, 60 million for him, and let's be honest, Arsenal are going to make that back in Premier League rights money, so why not keep hold of your best players for another year and have a real good crack at it, and if you fall, then just rebuild next summer, really.
I think what we've seen this year in the Premier League it's not just Sanchez, Coutinho and Van Dijk, for example, that player power is not as significant as it used to be. Clubs now are happy to keep their best players, even if they want to move, which I think is a positive, because it gives clubs power again.
One thing that I
I
think one thing that I do admire about Sanchez though is the way he's gone about the situation. He hasn't refused to play. He hasn't been training on his own like Van Dijk. He hasn't had a Dimitri Payet situation where he's refusing to play for the club. He's played for the club, and arguably, if I was him, I wouldn't have played against Liverpool because that's horrendous. But he hasn't like gone on the record and slagged off the club. He's gone about it in a professional manner. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how he and Lacazette combine as well, because you've got two obviously fantastic players there. So having those two up front will be game-changing for Arsenal, I think.
I think Lacazette will also offer Ozil more runs in behind the defence, and that could actually improve Ozil's productivity.
If you were Arsene Wenger, then who would you have brought in? Because obviously a lot of Arsenal fans might not be happy that they haven't actually added a few more. Who would you bring in to really take Arsenal up the next level?
I'd have personally brought a defender in. I mean, looking at Johnny Evans, and when you're looking at Man City wanting them, it speaks volumes about his talent. I'd have went for someone like Johnny Evans to strengthen that back line up in particular, definitely. they're so weak at the back. I mean, I'm looking at like Koscielny's not really up to scratch anymore. In particular, there's always a mistake in him every time you watch Arsenal.
Yeah, I'd say that's their weakest positions, really, isn't it? Monreal as well. I think he's a bit of a liability at times.
Yeah, to play him is obviously they've started playing a 3 at the back now. I'm looking. They play him on Real in the middle. I mean, he's not really a centre back, is he? He's more of a he's obviously a left back, but
he's not really that strong kind of leader that you need at the back, is he?
No, definitely not.
I think Rob Holding has the potential to become a great centre back, but the thing is, he's still the thing people are forgetting is he's still like a young lad, and he needs a leader like of obviously not Vincent Kompany, but someone of that ilk, someone that can like a real leader that can teach him a thing or two.
A real Ferdinand sort of player.
Yeah. Again, though, that comes down to Wenger's methods, doesn't it? He's always relied on youth, and I think now, obviously, the money being spent is starting to catch up on them a bit, because obviously now you can go out and spend 50 million on a right back, and it's not even frowned upon now. So they need to start spending money in the right places rather than obviously bringing you through is a brilliant thing to do, but it's not really what you want to be doing if you want Champions League football year in year out.
With that in mind, is the Oxlade-Chamberlain deal good business from the club? Do you think they got a good deal out of that?
Yeah, I'd say they did. 35. What is it? 35 million plus potential 5 million more for a player that wasn't wanted to play centre mid, but wasn't good enough to get into the Arsenal centre mid. So I don't understand how he's going to get into the Liverpool centre mid. And he was unhappy. He had a year left in his contract, and to be honest with you, he's shown a lot of potential, but he's never actually delivered truly on that potential. So I think it made sense to sell him.
Okay, so if we rate Arsenal's transfer window out of 10, then what would you give it?
I'd give it a 6, 5 or a 6. That's probably really generous in terms, but like you said, they've kept Sanchez, and that is massive, really. When you look at the scale of it, he was destined to go, really, and they've brought in Lacazette, which they've been screaming out for a striker for so long. I think he could be the answer, but the reason I'm only giving them a 5 is because, again, that defence it's not good enough. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd probably give a 5. It's just a middle mark, really, for them. I don't think they deserve any more. I think maybe just the lack of amount of signings is the worry, really, as well.
Yeah, I'll just underline everything that's been said, really. I'll also give them 5.
I think I'd give them a 6 because I don't think the business they've done is bad, but I think the manner in which it's gone about, the way they've conducted their business, like you seen on the deadline day, rumours of Mustafi leaving and launching panic bids for Thomas Lemar. I think in terms of their business, it's not been bad, but the way they've gone about it has been horrific.
I think that's spot on. Yeah. Again, they've let Gabriel go as well for 10 million. So
without a replacement as well.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll move on to Bournemouth then, who've had they brought in some recognisable names, Defoe, Begovic and Ake. What do we think to Bournemouth? They've obviously lost the first 3 games, but is there any panic for Eddie Howe's men this season?
I think those are just basically solid signings. They've improved the main positions that they needed to. Although the defence is still a bit suspect, I think it's still an average defence. But Ake will strengthen that for sure. I think he's a good player. And hopefully Defoe will give him some goals as well going forward. Good on a free.
Yeah, I think Bournemouth fans will be happy with their business in general. And they all signed the 3 players are all Premier League standard, proven standard. So you know what you're going to get, and I think they'll be happy with it. Especially Begovic. I think that's a great signing for Bournemouth. I
think Bournemouth would definitely be alright this season because I I think they've got a good squad, and if you look across the league, there's a lot of weaker teams, so I think they'll be alright. I like the sign of Ake. We've seen in the FA Cup semi-final last year his potential, what he can play like. But the question is, like, will we get that Ake at Bournemouth? I think it's a good signing, personally.
Yeah, it is a good signing, but like Danny said, that defence still has question marks for me. In particular, like Cook and Adam Smith as well, maybe as well. They're not really. It's probably harsh to say considering what they've done and what they've achieved, but I don't think they're up to scratch in the Premier League. I mean, yeah, they've had a good transfer window. Bringing in Defoe gives a bit of competition with Josh King as well, because Defoe hasn't actually been starting of late. So yeah, I think they've done well. They've brought in Begovic as well for a bit of experience from in goal. So.
Do you think they needed more though, Marsh? Do you think they should have added a few more?
They got off to a fantastic start in the window. Like, everyone was buzzing for them, including me, thinking, wow, what Defoe, Begovic. And they just sort of like slowed down, really. They just sort of went gung-ho in the first few weeks, and then that's been pretty much it. So, yeah, it was almost like a bubble burst, really.
I think they had the money to spend too. I think the owner had the money to spend, but that might be quite disappointing for the fans. You know, the fact that they knew it was there, but they just never got anyone else.
I personally think that Bournemouth are in a good state. I think they've already got solid foundations, and to add 3 players like that are proven. Begovic is a massive upgrade on Boruc. Ake is a great defender, well worth 20 million if you look at today's market, I think. And obviously Defoe speaks for itself. He should obviously contribute up front. So just because they haven't made like numerous signings, I don't think that's a problem. And even though they've lost the first 3 games, I think Bournemouth will find their feet pretty quickly.
Do you not think there's gaps in that squad though? Like I said, there's gaps.
There'll be an element of like repetitiveness where they will concede goals as they usually do. But for me, they've got plenty of quality. I think it'll just be the same old for Bournemouth, to be honest. I think Eddie Howe's built them to where they are now with them players, so it's not like they've underachieved previously.
Yeah.
So who would you have signed if you were Eddie Howe? Is there any names that you would have brought into Bournemouth? Is there anyone that would stand out? Where would they actually improve drastically?
I think they could do with I think a bit more creativity in centre mid. We've seen Jack Wilshere go the last season, but he didn't live up to the hype really. But I think they are kind of missing that one player who can take the game by the scruff of the neck. I know it's obviously hard to be in a club of Bournemouth stature, but it'd be quite nice to see Eddie Howe maybe search for one of those in January or maybe next summer.
Yeah, I think they're missing like a playmaker. Oh, sorry, Marsh. I think they're missing a playmaker. Yeah, that's the main one really. I mean, I think, are they playing Arter still in midfield? He's not. I don't know. He's quite up to the Premier League standard really.
I would like to see Lewis Cook playing a bit more. I think they could have an internal solution there.
That's another good point actually, because I think Bournemouth they brought in that type of player before, but they brought in like Lewis Cook, Jordan Ibe, those sort of players, and they've not really got it right in that sense because they haven't really contributed, have they? So
young British players, yeah, and they haven't. But it's a good gamble. You have to admit, it's good to buy young.
Not
British
if it doesn't
players.
work though. It hasn't really worked with like Jordan Ibe or anyone like that.
Yeah, Jordan Ibe has been.
I'd say Tyrone Mings maybe falls under that category as well.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
I think Bournemouth have done. Yeah, the Bournemouth have done exactly what they needed to do, pretty much. They've done what they needed to do to stay up. So,
how would we rate their season out of 10 then? Their transfer window, sorry.
I'd
give them a 7.
Yeah, I'd give them a 6, just below that.
I'd probably agree with Dan and give them a 7 as well.
Yeah, I'd probably give them a 7 as well.
Yeah, it's 7 for me as well.
Okay, so we'll move on to Brighton, who have obviously been promoted into the Premier League. What do we make of their transfer window? A lot of foreign names coming in.
Quantity says a lot. They've signed over 10 players. A lot of them fans might not know. English fans might not have never heard of them. But I can see why Brighton have went abroad to sign players because it's cheaper. And you get more for your money, really. So, and some of those players are actually very good. Like Jose Secodo from Bruges. I know they paid 15 million for him, but if he was English, you'd probably be looking at 30 million fee. Because he's been tearing up the Belgian league lately.
I think the biggest thing for them that they've missed out on is a striker. What I've been reading online from kind of various Brighton fans' views, that it seems like they've only got, I think, Glenn Murray up front, and I think Toma Hemed is the other one.
Yeah.
And they were after someone on deadline day who didn't quite go through. I think they were after Janssen as well at one stage.
Good luck, lads.
Yeah. So I think that's a big miss for them. Really, they needed a striker.
I think one sign that has gone on the radar a little bit is it Pascal Gross, who come from the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
They got him very cheap, and from what I've read, like statistics from last season, he creates a lot of chances, and for that sort of price, it's a bit of a steal in the modern game, really.
They got Davy Proper as well from PSV.
Oh,
yeah. Start from Holland. That is an unbelievable signing. That he's a creative player as well.
They signed Schelotto on deadline day, and obviously being a Sporting fan, I watched him week in, week out. But I don't really think that's a great signing for them personally. So there probably will be question marks over him. I think he's a bit of a limited footballer. Like he tries hard, but then for me, trying hard isn't everything.
I think with Brighton, we kind of seen their Achilles heel in their team with lack of transfers, like up front really, because they seem quite desperate for Vincent Janssen last minute loan offer, and really I think because last season he just looked totally just void of confidence.
But maybe that's what he needed though, to go out and get confidence.
Yeah, but I see your point, Dan, but I think with a team coming up like that, I think it's very
They don't have time. They need someone that's already ready to.
Yeah, it's very risky to gamble on someone who needs to turn his career around. Well, not well, his Premier League career around, I should say.
Yeah.
He obviously has something about him because he starts for Holland over Bastos. I know Dan will have something to say about that. But I think he's got it in him. I think at Tottenham, you're always going to be with Harry Kane in the spotlight. I think it's always going to be difficult for another striker to come in and sort of grab the limelight.
He's not going to play now, is he, with Fernando Llorente? So I think he should have gone.
I think the thing with Janssen is we've seen this summer Tottenham go back to their division to sign Davinson Sanchez, but it's very different circumstances because we're already assured at the back we've got Alderweireld Vertonghen and Eric Dyer can play this. There's not a lot of pressure on him, but we've been after an understudy to Harry Kane for a while, so people forget Vincent Janssen's still 21, 22, if I'm right. So yeah, I think there's a lot of weight on his shoulders, and I think he's still got potential, but I think
he does need a move, I think, and I think Brighton would have been not the perfect platform, but it would have been a good platform to sort of be the hero in a sense. I think that's what he needs. He needs to be like the hero, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is it a concern for, if you're a Brighton fan, would it be a concern that they haven't actually brought in more proven names to the league, or is that completely irrelevant when you think in the transfer market?
Seems like they've gone for quantity rather than like experience. I don't know. Might be.
Yeah, I don't think Glenn Murray's the answer to their problems. Do you know what I mean? They've not.
I think when you're on about Premier League, sorry, Marsh, but when you're on about Premier League experience, I think we've seen Middlesbrough last season trying to adopt that philosophy. We've seen the likes of Victor Valdez, although he didn't have much Premier League experience, he's very experienced, and the likes of Aaron O'Grady, but that didn't really get them that far. So
Yeah, that's spot
I
on.
quite like
think.
this approach actually of going for foreign players and allowing them to have a chance to prove themselves in the Premier League, because they'll be hungry to succeed in the best league in the world.
Yeah, I think that's spot on as well. Obviously, being a Watford fan, we went down that similar sort of route in the first year, and it worked for us perfectly fine. So, again, no question marks over that for me as well from Brighton's point of view.
And it just I made this point earlier, but it just keeps the whole prices down as well, which is important when you're a promoted team.
Yeah.
I think maybe Brighton this season we could see them do what Sean Dyche did with Burnley. I think they this season maybe one to take one step back and able to take 2 steps forward, because the parachute payments, obviously they'll be able to spend arguably better in the Championship and mould the players that they have got, the new signings together, and maybe, but that's what I can see them doing personally.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for them, but yeah, they might just survive, maybe.
I personally don't think Brighton are in great shape under Chris Hughton. I think, obviously, I watched them play us against 10 men for 65 minutes, and they didn't really go for it. You know, that was a perfect opportunity for them to win. So I think they're a solid unit. I'm a little bit fearful that it's not going to be ruthless enough to get the goals that you need.
Yeah, very similar to, like Luke said, Borough last season.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great comparison, actually, because I think they could be a very solid team, and they do play some really nice football, but it's all right playing nice football and creating some chances, but if you're not going to take them, and, you know, they're not going to be able to keep the goals out like they did in the Championship, so I think I'm a bit worried that they're going to have to rely on their new wingers, and I think Knockout's going to have to step up to the plate as well, so I'm not too sure. I think if they did make a big money signing up front, that can make all the difference for them, but they haven't done it, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
How would you rate them out of 10 then?
I think they signed some good players amongst the entire pack, and so I'd give them a 6.
I'd give them a 5. I think very similar to Arsenal. I think they've left too many. Well, not too many, but they've left a very important gap which they didn't strengthen. So for me, it's a 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give the same as well. Just not addressing key areas really.
I'd have to agree with Marsh and Danny. I'd give them a 5 as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. So we'll go on to Danny's club, Burnley. So I'll give Danny the first say. How do you think you got on, Danny? Happy?
Yeah, I mean, like, fairly happy with that. I think I mentioned to you guys that it's obviously underwhelming, but at the same time, we need to be realistic. At the end of the day, we're not going to spend millions on big players. We can't really attract massive players anyway. But I think just solid signings that will fit well into the current squad, really. They're all signings that have the right attitude, especially like Jack Cork's obviously played for us before. We know how he plays, so there's no problems there, really. And then just signing players who have done really well in the Championship, Charlie Taylor and Chris Wood, both from Leeds, so they know each other, which is great. So they should fit in really well as well. Yeah, so I'm fairly happy with what we've done. I would have liked to have seen us add a bit of creativity, because it'd be nice to see a pacey winger, and also replace Keane at centre-back as well. That was a big one. I'm kind of worried that if we get an injury, we might struggle, but hopefully sign someone in January at centre-back. But yeah, that's kind of my assessment of it.
Obviously, I'm sure you'll agree with me that big, massive signing that you lacked was centre-back replacement for Michael Keane. You did everything right but replaced Michael Keane. That, for me, is a big... I'm sure you might have your own opinion on it, which you obviously do, but that, for me, is a big worry.
Probably the biggest, yeah.
I think the approach to the transfer market has been very similar to the way they went about their business last year. We've seen the likes of... They took a gamble on someone like Jeff Hendrick last year from Derby, and he proved to be a great signing for them. So who's to say that Chris Wood won't, or Naki Wells? I think they sold Andre Gray for 18 million, lost one striker and gained two. So, and it seems.
I think you paid quite a lot for Chris Wood.
Yeah, probably more than we would have wanted to be honest. I think just the way the market was pushed up, like.
Yeah.
15 million's not the end of the world, to be fair.
It's not. But when you're Burnley, got your tighter money, that's maybe one of the signings looking at transfer fees that maybe you could have thought could have maybe got him a little bit cheaper. I think Jonathan Waters is a great signing though. He's got experience and he's just a good player to have in the squad.
Yeah.
Just great.
Yeah,
really.
he's a character in the dressing room.
Low. Yeah, exactly. And he scores goals still.
Yeah. And I think Naki Wells is just a good gamble. I think, we've paid 5 million for him, so if it works out, brilliant. If he scores a few goals, that's great. But if not, then it's not too much of money spent, really.
You get Phil Bardsley as well. He's a proven established Premier League player. So that's another good signing. Cheap as well. Cheap as cheap. I think I paid about 100k for him or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was under $1 million.
It's just building that mentality again, really, of just being a squad, and that's kind of what kept us up last year. Yeah, really.
Yeah, you didn't sign any superstars, but you signed players that fit into the motto of together we're better and stronger.
Exactly, yeah.
I think Chris Wood, unfortunately for me, he showed last week that he has potential to be a Premier League striker. The finish against Tottenham, the way he just poked the ball through such a tight gap and into the bottom corner, I think that shows a real sign of quality, and maybe we're not done with Chris Wood in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's definitely got something about him. I think he scored a hat-trick for New Zealand as well in the internationals. It was a really good hat-trick. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Okay,
yeah.
So what would you rate Burnley out of 10 for their window?
I'd give them a 7 personally.
I would give them an 8, but I don't quite think that they've filled the void left by Michael Keane. So I'm going to agree with Marsh and give them a 7.
Yeah, I'll give them a 6.5 actually, because I think Michael Keane was one of their best players, and I know it's hard to replace him, but I think that should be one of their priorities in the market.
Yeah, I'd also go for a 7, just a solid window, really.